Hello, I am in London and it is so good to be back. I am in Mayfair and I'm going to take you to some of my favorite places, starting with Sadie Cole's HQ's location on Kingly Street. And I love this space because you would never know it was here. It's on a really busy street, but once you walk up the stairs, you see this just gorgeous expanse of rooms filled with natural light thanks to these skylights. And this is an exhibit of works from the artist Fischer, and it's titled The Intelligence of Nature, and it revolves around the idea of small moments that have become big. And Fischer created these works during a period of solitude that many of us experienced during the pandemic and quarantine. And he was really inspired by just being at home and his garden. And you'll see references to a lot of these things if you look closely in these works. And the foundation of these, I don't know if I should call them paintings or what. They're actually photographs, I think, that are printed on canvas. But the foundation of these works are photographs that were taken in and around his home in LA, as well as a roll of film that he found at his childhood home. And in this room, which is like the first room of the exhibit, the subject matter in the photographs are pretty distinguishable, and the paint really takes on a more figurative, sort of complementary approach. Like you can still make out, the objects that are in the photographs. I really would love to know how he superimposed the paint texture on top of the photograph. Maybe like on an iPad, I'm not really sure. I should have probably asked in the gallery. In the second room, the figure or any figures or objects that are present in the photographs become a lot more hidden. You really have to look and find references to sculptures in his garden and ivy. The paint really becomes more of the focus and creates this more abstract pattern. just when you think the exhibit is over, you can actually squeeze through to this back room, which is incredible. This features two works that are meant to kind of represent more memory. So you'll see that even the photographs and the objects that are present in the back are also abstract to kind of represent just how, in a fuzzy way, we sort of recall things. The next stop is a gallery that I've actually never been to in London before. This is my first time visiting Kostyál Gallery, but it is a really quaint, beautiful space on Savile Road, and I am a huge fan of Arghavan Khosravi's work. I've spoken about her before many times in other videos and shown her last exhibit at Rachel Uffner Gallery. So I was really excited to see that she would have an exhibit in London, and I just think it's really beautiful in this very traditional space. And the exhibit is titled In Search of Possibilities of Hope, and it features paintings that highlight her signature sort of unresolvable tensions. And these are tensions that aren't just present in her subject matter, but stylistically in her work as well. So she has clear references from the East and the West, the past and the present, reality and surreal, just a lot of different contrasts at play here. And Khosravi is quoted as saying, "I was born soon after the Islamic Revolution. My paintings describe the double life I led throughout my childhood and teenage years, adhering to Islamic law in public, being forced to wear a headscarf, to pray and recite the Quran at school, while still being able to think and act freely in private." And she describes her paintings as a space to recast memories and process paradoxes of my childhood in Tehran and ground my perspective as an Iranian now living in the US. She's been in the US for quite a while now. She actually hasn't been able to return to Iran since 2016 because of the travel bans instituted. The next stop is right down the street on Savile Row, and it is Pilar Corrias' new gallery space. So they have an original space in Fitzrovia that I have taken you to before in videos, and they just opened this one this year. This is the first exhibit that is shown in this beautiful new space, and this is an exhibit by the artist Tala Madani. And it's titled Chalkmark, which is a series of works that explores the themes of education and instructions. These paintings are aptly titled chalkboard paintings, and they engage with the role of sort of copying and repetition in learning through these motifs that are ironically, deliberately undisciplined and unruly. And the gallery describes her work as this uncomfortable comedy that aligns repulsion with empathy, intimacy with the grotesque, and I just think that's a perfect description. We're now heading around the corner, checking out the beautiful luxury stores on Bond Street on the way. And we're heading over to Gallery Thaddaeus Ropac, which I think has one of the most beautiful interiors in London. I mean, just look at the staircase, the flooring, the beautiful archways. It's so majestic. Yeah, I love visiting here every time, regardless of what exhibit is on, even though all of their exhibits are always top-notch. And this is an exhibit of works by Robert Rauschenberg titled Nightshades and Phantoms. And it's a series of paintings on metal, as you can kind of see with the gleam of the works that Rauschenberg created in 1991. And he created these works by silk screening photographic images on aluminum. And the gallery states that the works respond to their surroundings, playing with the viewer's perception and bringing the world into the paintings. And they brought up one of Rauschenberg's famous quotes saying that painting relates to both art and life. Neither can be made. I try to act in the gap between the two. And you really do notice that with these works. In fact, it's impossible for me to film them and not become a part of them, as you can see here. And they really do have this quite eerie, sort of ghostly quality to them because of the translucent silk screen. And the images that are silk screened on here were actually ones that Rauschenberg had photographs of from his travels across the United States and abroad between 1979 and 1991. So you might see some familiar images here potentially. And upstairs is an exhibit of works by the American artist Tom Sachs titled Ritual. And Sachs has creates his sculptures really using everyday objects like plywood, cardboard, resin, tape, and paint. But the execution of these, it's done immaculately because, frankly, something like this I think could really easily fall into the spectrum of craft if it's not done perfectly. So in this exhibit, Sachs is recreating everyday objects that honestly we normally don't think twice about in our routine. And by elevating them literally on pedestals, but also taking the time to recreate them in these materials in such an immaculate way, he's creating an homage to the creation of value and human labor that sort of goes into making these things. We don't really think twice, about a bottle of laundry detergent. It's just a tool for us to get our clothes clean, and there's a lot that goes into the creation of that detergent. There's the branding, the marketing, the scientific formula of the detergent, the sourcing of materials for the detergent, the packaging. There's just so much that goes into things that we sort of take for granted as a part of our everyday. So for this exhibit, Sachs is really focusing on objects that are part of our everyday rituals. So you will see a lot of things, references to things like breakfast and laundry and things that are part of the American everyday life. Granted, I don't know if an Hermes Kelly bag is part of everyday life for most Americans, but maybe it is for Tom. Who knows? And that's all for now. I will be in London for a while, so you will be seeing a few more videos from some of my favorite galleries and favorite places to travel to in and around London. So if you haven't subscribed, please do to stay up to date with all of my new content, and I will see you all in the next one.